Hi boys and girls, it's me Butch. My name is Terry David SILVERCLOUD. I'm not native, just sounds that way. I'm 81 years old. Somebody asked me how old I was. I'm 81. Today is, if I'm not wrong, sometimes I am, the 22nd of January 2026. And I'm just trying to get some videos in while I'm above ground because I have very serious heart conditions. A condition anyway, aside from hormone condition, just I'm really old, so I could drop dead at any time. So I try to be of entertaining value or educational, or those two things, I guess. I want to educate you and entertain you, and in my old age I just try to spread the word about things I think are important. And I don't really have a whole lot to say. I'm basically a retired photographer, and what I thought I could do is maybe for the guys coming out, if you're just coming out, you're all bubbly, you're coming out, wow, hoo hoo, I've come out, and everything's going to be fabulous from here on in. Well, the party is over now, you're out. Now reality sets in. And reality is not going to be horrible, but there's going to be some adjustments necessary. And part of them is learning that gay men are just like straight men, and or gay people, and men and women are just like straight people, and they come in all shapes and sizes: tall, short, skinny, fat, smart, dumb as a rock, conservative, liberal, fantastically wealthy, incredibly poor. They just come in all kinds of types. Now, most likely, because of your social situation, you're going to come into contact with people who share a lot in common with you in spite of anything. If you are young, you know, under 25, in the 20-ish range, and you're fabulously beautiful because by good fortune you had good genes and mother and father encouraged you to do all the right things and didn't get you to pig out on, they didn't make you fat, is what I'm trying to say. I don't mean to be rude to the overweight people, but that's the way it is. It's your parents' fault. Some of you are genetically disposed to be big, so, you know, like bears. Bears were generally wide-hipped kind of guys to begin with when they came out of the womb. It was a tough one for Mom. Mom was probably a big girl, too. Anyhow, where am I going with all this? Totally forgot. I totally forgot. That's what happens. My mind starts picturing things, because I smoke a lot of dope and I take a lot of painkillers for my pains. Oh, coming out, all kinds of types. So this is the first day of the rest of your life, and you should look in the mirror and ask yourself, how old am I? What can I do to change my life now that I've come out? But I want to again remind you, if you're coming out, there's some really horrible gay people out there. I mean, there's some really disgusting gay people out there. I'm just being honest. I'm an 81-year-old queer, and I've sucked a lot of. That's what Butch likes doing. Butch just loves taking cream with his coffee, and he's really good at it. And but you need to know there's some really horrible gay men out there, so be cautious, especially in this day and age. Like in the old days when you maybe went cruising in a washroom to pick somebody up, you know, you were taking your chances, but more or less you probably had sex right there in the bathroom stall. That's the way it was, or very nearby. But in days like this with Grindr and other social media kind of apps, you have no idea who's on the other end of the line, whether the person you think you're with whom you think you are communicating is who they really are. And so you got to be careful. And for the young ones that came out young and they've just been through a lot, you know, they may be more socially aware. So be careful. So I want to talk about another subject. Let's see, what's it going to be? Let's change the subject. Ready? Let's change the subject. So like I told you, I'm queer and I'm old. I'm 81, but I'm not your typical 81-year-old. You don't have to be around me very long to figure that one out. But I've been sort of working it my whole life because I guess I came with some sort of level of vanity, I don't know. When I was very young, I was very fussy about what I wore. I remember once my mom, when I was about 5 years old, she came home with a couple of they were dress shirts. I didn't know what a dress, shirts, what do I know? And she told me they were hanging up in my grandmother's closet, and I went up and it was a color, the color was awesome, it was a pale powder blue, but it had a cutout in the side, because that's the way dress shirts are. But I remember screaming downstairs, because I was very demonstrative. I was the firstborn. He was loud and a bitch, crying my eyes out how much I hated it. And then my grandmother and my mother explained to me it's the kind of shirts that older men wear. It's called a dress shirt, and you tuck it in. And the reason that she explained why the cuts were there, so it wouldn't have a whole bunch of material stuffed in your pants. But I was a fashionista, I guess, because when I was in high school, I had a paper route, so a bit of money on my own. And I went to a very large high school in Hamilton, Ontario, and one of the very handsome Japanese guys, we had some Japanese people living in Hamilton, it was mostly a white city, Victor Okoya, and he was one of the school football stars. In my final year in grade 13, they used to have a thing called grade 13, our high school team was playing our rival, the Roman Catholic high school, which was mostly Roman Catholic. But our high school through this season had never lost a game. They'd gone the entire season and they didn't lose a single game. So Victor was just one of several stars we had on the team. And the final game, our high school really partied downtown that night. In the final game, it was like everything you could ever want in a football game. Two really fantastically good teams pitted against each other. And I don't remember whether, in the final minutes, the final seconds of the fourth quarter, we played 4 quarters. We played 4 quarters, I think I remember that right. The other team was winning either 1-0 or 3-0. We were losing by either 1 or 3 points, I don't remember. And then one of our star receivers caught a touchdown pass close enough to the goal line that we won. Anyway, getting back to Victor, he was a really sharp dresser. He was one of the sharpest dressers in the city, and there were a couple other guys, and even though I was a shy nerd and everybody knew I was a shy nerd, people knew that I was a bit weird because I walked around with a camera. So people always saw me with a camera. I belonged to the photography club, of course. But anyhow, it was easy to talk to him, and I asked him where he got his clothing. And he turned me on to, I lived in Hamilton, and this is back in the 60s, the late 50s, well this was the early 60s, 1962, 63, that there were a lot of Italian clothing shops downtown, maybe half a dozen even. They were spread across the city because there was a very large Italian population in Hamilton at that time anyway. And that's where he got his clothes, because they were sharp dressers, and so that's turned me on to where to go to buy trendier clothing in 1962. And then when I left the Navy in what was it, 68, late 68, I opened a clothing store in Halifax in hopes of getting a straight guy to remain in Halifax with whom I'd fallen in love. And unfortunately he bumped a girl and she got pregnant and he moved up somewhere else to go be a daddy. So I only hung on to the clothing business for a couple of years, but I was a fashionista, and in Halifax I started a trend. In those days, we're talking the end of the 60s, you could not buy the kind of pants that I liked, which were called elephant pants. You could buy them in Montreal at a store called Le Chateau, and a couple other places in Montreal, fashionable. So by good fortune, I met one of the owners of Le Chateau in my attempts to get going. I didn't know what I was doing, and I ended up talking to him. He turned me on to where I could go to get my pants made. I started copying them. I started copying their designs, selling them in Halifax. I was the go-to place for a younger male guy who wanted to look trendy to go. I'm just so thrilled at the return of big baggy pants, because that's what was happening back then. At the end of the 1960s, big baggy pants were starting to happen, along with the John Travolta, very dressy looking pants as well, that like if you saw in the old, I mentioned John Travolta, I just can't remember the name of the movie, but you younger ones may not know what I'm even talking about. Where am I getting the older guys, the older gay guys, you know what I'm talking about. The dancing movie, very tight, you knew exactly what was down there. Pants were tight enough you could, as my pants manufacturer likes to joke, they'll be tight enough we can tell, you'll be able to tell what religion you are. You'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, should I go any longer? Let me see, let's go on a bit longer, hang on. So, I guess I've always been a little bit of a fashionista, plus I'm also a chicken queen, and for those of you who are coming out and learning gay slang, and even you newbies, chicken queen in my day, and I'm certain still, I don't do social media except the tube. A chicken queen is a gay man who, not exclusively, but almost exclusively likes young guys, like young. And so that's never been a problem for me, because they always liked me, and part of it is that I am pretty good at relating to them, and I always tend to, if I don't look like what the current fashion is, I look somehow, I can just fit in. I'm not like a regular older gay man, I'm just not. And I don't have money in my pockets to throw around, or I could have, I could have as many young men waiting on me as I wished, I guess, if I had millions in the bank. I would just simply rent them, or even buy them, give them, offer them a contract that they couldn't refuse, and come live with me for the next 5 years. At the end of the year, and then they'll give you $1 million, but you have to hang in for 5 years unless we do a buyout. No problem. I'll come and live with you. Where do you want me to sit? Oops. Okay. Where am I going with all of that? I have no idea. So the thing is that I'm vain, and I admit it. You're vain too. Everybody's vain. It's just that I'm not a hypocrite, and I admit it. We're all vain to some extent, and some more so than others. And for me, I guess because I was a nerd and wanted to fit in, I would do what I could. And I'm an artist. Who knows? I'm queer. Queer folks seem to have a knack for being more flamboyant. Maybe they have to be, maybe they were born that way. Some of them were born that way, I'm sure. They're very effeminate gay men, I think, probably were, if their parents didn't suspect at age 6. I was playing with dolls when I was very young, and my father wasn't very happy about that. But I played with boy dolls. I would dress them up in armor. I'd make armor out of tin foil and stuff like that. I even entered one of my boy dolls with his fake sword in some sort of hobby fair. I think I won some kind of prize. I was very young. Anyhow, I gotta wet my throat. But for those of you like me who like being around younger guys, there's guys that like daddies like you. I'm not denying that. But generally speaking, if you want to open the door, you're going to have to walk through their door before they walk through yours. When I was younger, they might have pursued me more quickly because I was young. Now I'm not. I'm old. I'm grandpa. And I even have a lot of trouble getting around. I'm in pain management, hormone management. I could drop dead anytime, and I'm not rich. Where was I going with all this? So, but I like to look younger. So part of that is what I wear and how I dress, stuff like that. And I try to exercise regularly. And in my mid-60s, I gained a lot of weight. I wasn't really paying attention to it because I still looked pretty, I just looked more bearish or something. I just was bigger. But I began to realize that I had to buy bigger pants and bigger underwear. And what's going on here? And I asked my doctor if I was growing, and he said he didn't know, and he sent me for tests, and he said, you have very serious hormone problems. So I've been in hormone replacement therapy for nearly 15 years. It has some side effects that are annoying. You know, there will be down days when the old stuff is wearing off and new stuff is... but the benefits were good, and then I realized a lot of the weight was just... my body didn't know what to do with the extra fat, so I just started putting it here and there and everywhere, and next thing you know, I was getting a bit chunky. I didn't like it, because I like skinny guys. I like being skinny. I was never skinny. I was always, I never had too much body fat, ever. Where am I going with all this? So you can do something about that if you wish, at any age, really. It won't happen quickly. If you're seriously overweight, give yourself 6 months to a year. Don't rush it, but because you're gonna have to change your diet, and that's a bitch, because you're gonna have to. Mostly, I would say eat less. Whatever you're eating, cut it in half. Don't worry about what you're eating. Just cut it in half, and then what you do have left, divide that in half so you can have a snack with half of it. Work out a strategy. You're not that stupid, I don't think. Work something out. You gotta want it to get it. You gotta want it to get it. Am I making myself clear? You must want it to get it. Which wants it? Vain. Okay, I think this is getting to be a long video. It's a test, sort of. I'm trying new techniques all the time. And so this is just a test. Of stuff, just different stuff. You know, I've made videos a whole variety of ways, and I like getting likes, I like getting subscribers. I gain a ton of subscribers at one time, and then I lose a bunch because they realize I have such a wide variety of videos. People subscribe because they find something and discover I'm queer and they unsubscribe, or queer. Remember I told you not all queer people like each other? I hate religion. The people will... I don't care what your religion is. You do what you want. I think they're silly. I just say what I want because I'm Butch and I could drop dead like right now. What do I care? I don't mean to offend you. I'm just telling you the way it is. I'm a really smart boy. I'm vain, I told you. And I'm very well educated. I think religions are ridiculous. Okay, I threw that in. I don't want to go on forever. What else can I tell you? Hang on. Let's see, there must be something else I can tell you. So hang on. So being vain, I try to make myself look better and younger because I like younger guys by doing certain things that most older men would not think about, I don't think. For instance, my hair is starting in my 60s, when ironically, when a lot of my testosterone problems and hormone problems started, my hair began to thin very rapidly. I used to, 25, 30 years ago, in my last years of being a professional photography, I would have a tail growing out of the back of my head, hanging down to my back of my neck here. I used to wear bead chokers, and I had a kind of a brush cut on top with everything shaved on the sides. But when I retired, I cut off the tail because I was going to work part-time as a caretaker, as a living caretaker. And eventually the brushy cut thing was just so thin. It was a few years back, I guess, when I decided to start looking good again, when I realized I had hormone problems and that I was overweight and I was going to do something about it again. I was always lifting weights once or twice a week or every day. I try every day to use my dumbbells. Summer's coming on. This may be the last summer. If I live long enough for summer, this may be the last summer of my life. I want to look good if I go to the Clear Beach, even if I'm old. I want to look good. Maybe somebody will do me. That'd be nice. So you get my drift. And so you got to work it. One of the things I do, I was talking about my hair, so I just shave my head. I shave it almost every day. If you're not going to go out, don't really worry about it, but you can at least shave the sides while you're shaving your face. And when you can't see a person's hair, you're not really sure how old they are. You got to go up closer, like you got to get real close. How old is that guy anyway? So I think you're catching my drift. Oh, and the other thing is, I shave my eyebrows. I'm a photographer. And one of the things that camera IDs do, measuring you, I'm not trying to avoid all the spy cameras. It's just that if people cannot tell where your eyebrows are, or if they're not too dark or anything like that, then that confuses them about how old is he anyway. I keep forgetting that the microphone's here and I'm doing that. I hope you're hearing me okay. That's part of all this, is to make sure the microphones and everything work. I'm going to see if I'm going to put a mirror. I'm worried the tracking device is going to start looking at it. Oh good, I'm on camera. Oh good, I'm on camera. And I saw a red record, so I'm recording. Oh good. So, it's me, Butch. What was I talking about? So you can do little things, and if you're an older guy, like 40s, 50s, 60s, and you are attracted to younger guys, you're going to have to learn to be like them. And you may want to look at how you dress. You may be a fashionable fag anyway. You may already be hip and wearing like really trendy clothes. I hated the skinny jeans and stuff, so let me tell you, they're out. It's over. They'll be back in 30 years, but if you're a youngster right now, and who knows what fashion will be in 30 years, they'll all probably be body-fitting clothing, like stretch clothing, like a bodysuit, and you'll be able to see everything, if you know what I'm talking about. Everything. And you'll know what religion they are too. Oh good. I hope you're hearing me okay. So I don't want to go on and on forever. Let me see, do I have any more in my rant I wanted to get in? Not really. Oh, I told you with the hair. I told you I shaved my eyebrows. Oh, I had a boyfriend for 18 years and he died 35 years ago. And in the last, especially since the last 15 years or so, when I've been trying to get more back in shape again, and I wasn't sleeping with anybody, I shaved my chest. I hate body hair. I just hate it. And my boyfriend didn't mind it. It was soft, of course, because it was only growing. But I hated it. And I like guys without body hair. My boyfriend didn't have any. Well, he had hair down here, but he had a couple of hairs growing here and there. He mostly shaved them off. So I shave because body hair can really take away from the look of a body. So if you are built and you want to show it off, it can lead to ingrown hair problems. I'm still recovering. I'm trying to get over my vanity. You can still see sores around here. My doctor thinks that was caused by me shaving, but I didn't really shave down there, and I have the same problem in other areas of my body. I did shave my arms, and this is recovering now. Looks ugly. It's getting better. So the hairs did not want to grow above the skin, and I'm just cautioning you, but even if you don't shave, like even if you don't go right down to the skin, you can, on your electric razor, get one of those end clips so it doesn't go right to the skin, and just make it much, much shorter. So if you're a really hairy dude and you don't like it, and unless that's the look you want to project, that's something you can work on. I've always, in dry weather, when I lived in Toronto where it's really cold and dry in the winter, I always put face cream on, Vaseline intensive care lotion, white stuff, not the oily stuff. Well, speaking of diets, I've gone on forever, so I'll just go on a bit longer. When you're trying to lose weight, the reason you gain weight is you're eating too much, really, unless you have some serious hormone problem of some sort. But generally, you're just eating too much, and your stomach doesn't have time for everything, so it just stores a bit here and there, and usually the last place it starts storing is on the gut. It starts back here and on your legs, but it'll get around to your gut and your hips. And you just put a bit here and a bit there, and it builds up. But the worst fat accumulates right around your umbilical cord, and that will be the hardest to digest stuff there possibly is. And without surgery of some sort or extreme exercise routine and diet, getting rid of it is like almost impossible, because you've also stretched the skin, and the skin is not going to want to shrink back in spite of you losing the fat under it, if you catch my drift. So when you're eating, if you're trying to make a change in diet, Butch is mostly a rice, vegetable, and I don't like eating animals, but I eat chicken. I love chicken. But in animal fats, they're the worst ones for digestion. They take the longest. Maybe if you're living up in the cold in the Arctic and you needed lots of fat to keep you warm because you were burning oil. You were simply burning it to keep warm. That might not be too bad, but it's very hard to digest, and it's the one to go here. So there's a difference in fats. I drink a lot of milk, and it's just loaded with fat, and you could say it's an animal fat, and it is, but it's in milk, and it's somewhat different than the kind of fat, I don't know what the correct term is, intravisceral, the kind of fat you'll find in an animal's leg or that kind of fat. It's different. It's the fat the mama cow was feeding to her baby cow, and it's a pretty good fat. And most fats that come out of seeds, like canola oil and any oil, that's not that bad for you as a food until you hydrogenate it. That's when you turn it into butter. Butter is made by taking virtually any vegetable oil at all you can find and bubbling hydrogen through it. And usually it has to be in the presence of a catalyst. I'm not sure what the catalyst is. A catalyst is something that's there that doesn't really end up in the final product, but it's like your mother-in-law whipping you. She's making it happen. You clean that corner, sonny. It just makes things happen faster, and it's probably because of electronic interactions happening within liquid. Electrically, it's unusual. Anything that contains water has some unusual electrical properties, and sometimes when electrons are moving around, the catalyst gives them a boost. The nerds know what I'm talking about. Should I shut up yet? So because I'm a nerd, I like to throw in a little bit of physics, science stuff before I leave, because some of you may be nerds and you may be looking for something upon which to write a thesis. And Butch will tell you his big idea upon which you can take it to market, do whatever you can with it, spread the word. Butch says that, I'm gathering a few toys here. Butch says the difference between solids, liquids, and gases is their electronic physical shape, how the electrons are arranged basically. Because Butch says the electrons are the joining pieces in molecules and in atoms. These are the electrons. Butch is telling you these are the electrons in an atom, and so atoms can expand and contract. They're the joiny pieces, and that's why they have orbitals, because they move around a bit. And there's left, the nerds all know what I'm talking about. So Butch says that solids have vertices, just like this stellated, whatever it is here, it doesn't matter. You can see I'm just trying to be very demonstrative, it's very pointy, right? You get my drift. But a vertice is like on this Johnson solid J26, the pointy part. This would be where electrons would be stationed. It's making it rigid, tough. I don't want to move. Get it? And so what happens is that if this was a solid atom with its electrons, and it's solid, it's like blank. Forget the fact that it's roundish shape, because I'm going to get to that. There's something different coming up. And it's about to happen right now. As it's spinning and absorbing more and more energy, it starts to expand as it's spinning. And then it will have a north and a south and up and a down and all that stuff. The nerds know what I'm talking about. And at some point they'll become a relatively perfect spheroid, and at that point they will be a liquid. I was just telling you this. If you squooshed it, you would have something between a liquid and a solid, because it's trying to be both, and you'd get some slushy kind of things. So Butch is telling you liquids are spheroids. Excuse me. That's something to drink. Too much pot. Hang in there, folks. So if it starts spinning faster and faster and faster, it will turn into a torus, a donut shape, and that will be a gas. So those are the three states of matter, and why they are that. You can go look it up anywhere. They'll tell you, oh, the atoms are closer together. That's not telling you anything. It's telling you something about it. It's like saying the wall is white. Why is it white? It's like saying God created the universe. Who created God? It doesn't answer the question. Catch my drift there? So this is all based on electrons. And Butch also says that if this was an electron, it is composed of at least 2 tachyons, absolute minimum of 2, one left spinning and one right spinning. And the electron sets the speed of light by its diameter, being from here to there. This energy, which is in the form of a tachyon, wants to get there, but it can't because there's an electron in the way. So it simply rolls with the electron to the other side. Now it's gone from here to there at the speed of light, which in this case was a half spin of the electron. But if there was a whole shitload of electrons that could just simply push the electron out of the way, once they had pushed its diameter out of the way, that also would be the speed of light. And Butch is saying that differential between the diameter and the half spin of the electron is what causes gravity. Electrons cause gravity. They want room. Give me room. Get out of my way. Get out of my way! I'm an electron. Get out of my way. Get out of my way! You got the message yet? Alright, I'm an electron. I spin. I can really spin fast. I need room to do my thing. So I'm trying to throw some physics in there, and with that, Butchie Poo I think is going to say bye-bye. The camera I'm recording on before I say bye is